All right, everybody, I am hoping that you're going to join me this year for our temperature quilt. You can check out the link in the description to grab a copy of the pattern. And let's talk about putting together our guide for our temperature as well as the fabric that we are going to use. So the first thing you're going to do is print off your papers. And so the link will be in the description for the pattern. You can pick it up in the shop. You're going to have a couple papers that will let you track the weather for, January through June, and then July to December, giving you each day's option. You're also going to find a page for your fabric swatches as well as the temperature guide or your range. You want to make sure that you remember where you're pulling your information from, so your city and state, as well as the year, and then make any notes. You've got a space for that as well. So because it is this year, this is all going to be blank. We're just going to be filling this out as we go, and every month I'm going to be sewing up my block. And so every month there will be 4 blocks, 1 block per week. So this pattern is paper pieced, and you're going to need 52 of these because there are 52 weeks in the year. So there are 2 options when you print these off, so just make sure you stick with one or the other. One starts with Sunday at the point and goes to Monday, which is the largest base. The other one is opposite that. So Sunday is at the largest base and then Monday is at the point. So just depending on how you want this, where your weekend you want to show, you can, use one block or the other. These outside triangular pieces are going to be your background. If you want to do a dark background or a light background, feel free to do that. I've got a couple examples on the blog you can take a look at. And then if you want to do this as a weekly average, go right ahead. In my examples, I believe I have these alternating like dark and light. So just make sure that when you print this off, like you decide if this is week 1 and the next one is week 2. If you want these alternating, make sure that you label these well. So when you start putting these blocks together, they will alternate. Otherwise, you can choose one color or do your weekly average and not have them match at all. So let's talk about the temperature guide. So the first thing you're going to do is really just keep track of your temperatures. Make sure you're tracking your temperatures from one area on the internet or from one source on the internet. That way they are all consistent and correct for where you're pulling that information. For this quilt, as you notice, I do not have a high and a low for each day. If you want, you can. So you can cut this right down the center and do one side is the high, one side is the low. Just might get a little tricky down here because you're dealing with such a small area, but that is an option as well if you want to track both the high and the low. I just have decided to do the highs in my quilt. There is a temperature range paper that's already filled out, but there is another one that's blank. So feel free to explore other temperature quilts, other ways that they are putting their temperature together and then putting their ranges together as well. So what you're going to do for your temperature range is look at your area's base temperatures. And so I'm in a warmer climate, and so I am looking at my temperatures from what I've gathered. I go from about 20 degrees to 105 plus would be my highest one. And so I'm going to go through and decide how many colors do I want to do, how many degrees do I want to adjust this for each color gradient. So I have done 20 to 30, and then I've started 31 to 34, and then 35 to 37, 38 to 40, and then I repeat 41 to 44, 45 to 47, 48 to 50. and that just continues on. I'm gonna look at this and make sure that that will work, that will give me a nice variety of colors within my blocks as well. If I feel like it, you know, you can make your range every 2 degrees. It just gets a little tricky when you are running 105 down to 20 degrees. So that's a lot of fabrics that you're going to be picking from. So take a look at your range. You know, what is the lowest you usually get? What is the highest you usually get? And then how many colors do you want to deal with? So you can determine how many ranges you have printed or put together. As far as this goes, you can use this blank page and print it off a couple times if you want more than the temperature range notated on just the one page. I highly recommend you stapling or pinning a fabric swatch for that temperature range on your paper to keep everything straight and you're able to track everything. You just want to set this up right now so it makes it easier when you go to sew the blocks. It really is easy. You just look at your temperature range, grab your fabric, and get sewing. Because this is paper pieced, I'll also have a link in the description for a video on doing paper piece. Watch for the first couple blocks. I will have videos on putting those together. So setting that pattern aside, let's talk about fabric that you want to choose for your temperature quilt. So I've got this great collection from Michael Miller, and these are all fat quarters. And this quilt really lends itself to be scrappy. So just dig through what you already have, use what's on your shelves. Don't be afraid to just kind of have an overall scrappy quilt. This quilt is also great for solids or fabric that reads solids, but overall it reads as one color. So this set really is perfect for a temperature quilt. I also have this other set which has just little stars, little designs on it, and these are also great for a temperature quilt as well. And then I have some with a kind of a repeating diamond print on them. Again, they read as one color but has a variation within them. So you can just kind of go through your fabrics, pick and choose what you want to use and how many fabrics you want. I also have a collection of kind of Civil War prints. They will work just fine as well. So this is a dark blue with a white star on it. I've got some darker prints. Again, you just really just want to have fun with this. And so if you end up scrapping and just using what you have on hand, that is going to be perfect.